What do you think the current opportunities and challenges are for organisations and working in commissioning and public art at the moment?
Opportunities are that I think there's more interest in public sculpture than ever before. It feels like there's a huge amount of new public sculpture parks opening and different people wanting to invest and look at public art and see the value in it, because I think that's also reflecting people wanting to find new reasons to be together and to find new reasons to connect with the material world, and sculpture is kind of an amazing platform for that. I guess there's a risk then that you're going to end up with an awful lot, and just making sure that there's a kind of still this kind of emphasis on the quality of the work that's there, and ensuring that there's still that real rooted sense of place and what does this place mean historically, what does it mean to people now, where do we start from in that sense, rather than it being a kind of something that's shiny and immediate, I guess. We've set up London Sculpture Week with free sculpture in Fourth Plinth and Sculpture in the City, and it's grown annually, and there's definitely, it feels like there's a real interest in people understanding how does this work happen, what does it mean, what does it do for us. Equally, there's just a lot of people going to see work outside. I think that reflects a kind of wider need for people to connect outdoors and to have experiences and to be in the material world, which I think is what sculpture can do in such an extraordinary way. And then I think obviously challenges, I'm sure you've heard this from everybody you're interviewing, that it's a really difficult time to be fundraising. But I also think, bringing work outside, to my mind, from what the line's been able to do is to bring together all sorts of different partners together, to think about what is public space, what is this route, and how can we be a part of this journey. And so we're not kind of fundraising in the more traditional sense that institutions, and we don't have a building, we're not having to kind of keep the lights on in a building. I'm not saying there aren't things we need to fundraise for, of course there are, but we're able to be relatively flexible about who we work with and how we work with them, the different sorts of kind of networks of partners that we can bring together, because we work across lots of different areas of our program. And then we are an urban experience in some ways as well. So that, and I think, a real challenge for artists and for public art organisations is thinking, actually, now we have all these things in the world. A lot of them are very big. They are, they're hard to store. They're expensive to store. So when we're commissioning, we have to think really carefully about what is the lifespan of this work and what's it going to be afterwards, where's it going to go, who does it belong to, and equally when we're taking a loan, how long can we have it and how will this function, how do we make the most of it being here. So they're not small things that can be packed down into a nice crate and sent back to somebody. These are significant pieces of infrastructure in some ways into the city's landscape, which is super exciting, but also presents challenges around kind of afterlife and longevity and all of that.
So if you were loaning a work, say from a commercial gallery or an artist, for example, what would be like the minimum loan term that would be required?
So we start with a 2-year loan term normally. When it's from a gallery or a collector in that way, but very often those are extended. Often it's sort of 2 years is quite helpful in order to secure planning and get the space, get everybody on board and get everyone engaged. And sometimes works are returned after 2 years, but very unusually, normally there's an extension, and often lenders are really happy to continue. But so far they've always been happy to continue them unless they've kind of been sold or recalled to go to be displayed somewhere else. But most works on loan do extend beyond the 2-year period,
And what would the benefit be for a collector loaning their work to you for that long?
I guess it's the association with a programme that's about access and people being, their work being visible. I mean, sometimes it's a benefit because they're not having to store it, they're not having to pay for storage. So we're helping with that. And also we create a lot of visibility. We create films and audio that goes onto our Bloomberg Connects app. We create different materials and interpretive materials that, bring the work into, I guess to give it a different provenance. I mean, I'm always frustrated that often public sculpture isn't listed in the same way as a gallery show. And I think that's something that would be great to kind of move beyond that, because often it is as significant in terms of profile and broadening understanding of the work. But we've also had collectors who've donated works that we then, so now we have a work by Eva Rothschild that was donated to us last year, and that's now part of work that we effectively own. So collectors often want to actually support the line through acquiring and then donating the work to us, which is a new model.